Welcome to Crimson Guitars. This is going to be a full-on tutorial on how to carve Les Paul style guitar top. Now this is a left-handed Les Paul, well it's actually a Robert Fripp model that I'm in the process of building right now, and I couldn't resist carving this one by hand. I'm moving further and further away from power tools the more I get on with my building. I would much rather play with hand scrapers and planes than a random orbital sander, for example, which used to be my favourite tool of all, just because it saved so much hand sanding. Scrapers save hand sanding and power sanding, and anyhow, that's not what we're here about. So this is going to be a video traditionally carving with gouges and a carving mallet and all of that. So I hope you enjoy. The most important thing to think about is work holding. Now, if you're lucky enough to have a proper workbench, a dedicated workbench perhaps, you will have dogs, or you should have dogs. And this is one of the most common ways of holding a guitar down while you work on it. Clamp her up, and if you tighten it properly, it will stay. Now, this guitar has a very large cavity because it's a Robert Fripp model. And that means that where you would normally put the dog in the middle is actually a weak point, and I don't want to do that. So the other option is to use these bench dog bench cookies. And they are actually quite amazing. The rubber on both sides, so it grips and grabs and holds your work stable while you go at it. I suspect I will probably use a combination of these and F-clamps as I go, just to make absolutely certain. Next up, you need to choose your tools. First of all, your mallet, carver's mallet of some sort, and this is a personal choice. I mean, this one was made for me by a friend. Ash handle, lignum vitae head, made out of an old bowling ball, or bowls ball, I suppose, maybe. Anyway, beautiful, and it fits and feels wonderful. Gouges. I've used many vintage old tools, and you can buy them for £10 each at car boot sales around the world, and they work okay. But I have started now kitting myself out with Ashley Isles chisels and gouges. Their chisels are amazing. This is a digression. This is, instead of a flat bevel edge, it's rounded and just incredibly sexy, but that's not what we hear about today. They're gouges, hand forged in the UK and made from premium grade steel, Austrian steel, I think I recall. Anyway, they hold their edge better than the other vintage tools that I have been using, and as such, I am in love. These will last for the rest of my life and into my children's. Anyhow, the sweep is what you're thinking about. This is a 10, so it's a very, yeah, you can see it there against the bench. That's a very hard curve, and this is for roughing out as much material as you can. Go to an 8, and obviously it's different size. 8 roughs out quite a lot. This is a 6. Yeah, 6 is a flatter curve. Now, I tend to use the 6 more than anything else. It's a nicer radius, I think, sort of a medium ground. And that will hog away a lot of material, but still give you the carving that you want. And then you go to the finer curves. This is a 5. And I've had this tool, actually, for 13 or 14 years at this point. And I love it. And then they also do custom handmade. Well, they're all handmade, but they also do customs. And this is it's a gouge with a very, very, very slight sweep. Well, it must be a 1 or less. And It's a fishtail tool, and this was made for somebody else, and they made several of them, and I nabbed them. Anyhow, so this is what I tend to use, and it will predominantly be the 6 at about 3/4 of an inch wide. That is my favorite go-to gouge. But they all have their uses. To actually start the carve, you need a line to carve to. Now, with this instrument, we're lucky. I've planed down an angle into the body so that it's at the right angle for the tremolo and all that. And obviously, we also have binding, and the line of the binding here is where I'm going to be carving to. If you're doing this on an instrument that doesn't have binding, you want to draw a line all the way around that is your point to aim for. Without that, at this point, you're going to lose it and go a little bit crazy, which does not bode well. I've got my break angle, that's all sorted, and I don't want to touch this whole central section. So basically, draw yourself a spot and say, look, I am not going in here. I will not touch there. And then you give yourself a rough idea of what you want in the end. Now, there are many people that try and do this with routers, and they hog away a lot of material, and they've got 5 or 6 different templates, and they step it down and then hand carve it from there. Or you can see other videos where I've used an angle grinder and a flap wheel, but that is a little bit less refined and less fun than doing it by hand. Now, I'm going to start off here with the number 10, because this can hog away a lot of material. And what I want to do is remove this hard edge at the corner and just get that down to my binding level. Now, the problem is, when you do that, there we go, that did it just there. I'm going to do a close-up. If you gouge right to an edge and take quite a lot off, you're going to chip. And let's see if I can make this chip. There we go. I've lost that whole area there. Oh, look at my dirty fingers, sorry. And what we want to do is minimize that by taking small pieces off. And then when we're there, we can then start doing the shaping. Because the last thing you want to do is chip away underneath the line where you want to carve to, in this case behind the binding. Because, well, it's always easy to take material away, but to add more, not quite so. Now, carving by hand is a little bit quieter, but see how tight this radius is? This is the number 10. The flatter radius, or radii, this is the 6. It's much easier. And what you don't want to be doing, you really don't want to take loads and loads and loads of material with each pass. Small cuts with a very, very sharp gouge are exactly what you want. Beware, if you've not done this a lot, blisters will follow. As you come around, you do want to end up at this stage. You do want to be going towards the hard edge that you're cutting, because that minimizes breakout and allows you to keep the shape. Most of the time,
I mean, you can do it sideways. I think this is one of those things where it's just habit, actually. Now, you're going to see this a lot more soon. But long carves, long strokes across the grain. Well, there we go. I've just proven myself wrong. What I tend to do is I tend to go straight to the edge and take small bits. I seem to have a little bit more control that way of the shape. But this is working rather well. Now, I'm starting to cut there and rolling the gouge as I go through. And I'm not sure if this is a technique. It's just something that I do. And that is where we are now. The instrument has been roughed out to the edges, and now I can go for the final shape that I want. Now what I